When you picture Denmark, a few things probably jump right to mind. Maybe those like charming canal houses, that sleek modern design thing. And maybe, possibly, the figure of a certain little mermaid.
Definitely.
Well, get ready, because this time on the deep dive, we're plunging straight into Denmark.
That's right. Yeah, we've looked through some really good material, a great video travel guide, and a helpful written one too.
Okay.
And our goal really is to kind of distill the essence of Denmark for you. We want to go beyond just, listing places.
Right.
And really try to understand what makes this Scandinavian country so, captivating. Looking at the famous spots, but also maybe some hidden gems.
Okay, so Denmark. It sounds like this really interesting mix, doesn't it? Where you've got history right alongside of super modern innovation and all of it happening with some amazing scenery in the background.
Exactly. It's quite a blend.
So with all that going on, where do we even start to unpack it?
I think Copenhagen, it just feels like the natural place to begin, Both our sources really point to it as the beating heart of Denmark. Is this vibrant center for history, design, culture, everything, really.
And when you say Copenhagen, one image just keeps popping up, Nijhaven, that harbor. With the really brightly colored 17th century buildings along the canal.
Oh, absolutely.
It just looks like something out of a storybook.
It really does have that quality. And today, it's incredibly picturesque. You've got the cafes, the restaurants, those old wooden ships. But it actually started as a really busy commercial port. And what's kind of amazing is the Hans Christian Andersen connection.
Ah, right.
He actually lived in several of those houses right there. You can sort of picture him looking out, maybe getting ideas for his stories from the harbor life.
Wow, that's incredible. The guy who wrote all those fairy tales, actually living right there. It adds another dimension, doesn't it?
It really does.
And then there's Tivoli Gardens. That sounds just magical. One of the world's oldest amusement parks, right in the city center.
Yeah, one of the very oldest. Opened way back in 1843. And it's much more than just rides, It's this blend of thrills, yes, but also beautiful gardens, cultural stuff happening.
Okay.
Our sources really highlight the atmosphere, especially at night. Apparently, it just sparkles. It's been delighting people for, nearly 2 centuries now. Makes you wonder what its secret is.
Yeah, that mix of excitement and beauty, and from Tivoli's energy to maybe something a bit more contemplative, the Little Mermaid statue.
Oh, yeah.
Looking out over the water. I've heard it's actually smaller than people expect.
It is, yeah. Surprisingly petite when you see it in person, but so iconic. Inspired, of course, by Andersen's story. And I think what hits people is that sense of longing, melancholy that the story has. Robert Erickson sculpted it back in 1913. And it's just become the symbol, hasn't it? It shows how powerful a simple story, a simple image can be.
Copenhagen also gets praised for being really bike-friendly. That sounds like a great way to just soak up the city's vibe.
Definitely. Very cycle-centric.
And for anyone interested in art and design, the Design Museum and the Louisiana Museum of Modern Art were mentioned as key places to check out.
Yes, both highlighted. Then moving beyond the capital, there's Aarhus, Denmark's second city.
Okay.
And it sounds like it offers something different, still vibrant, youthful maybe, but also with real cultural depth.
And the big highlight there seems to be Den Gamel by the Old Town. That sounds amazing. A living museum.
Yeah, that's how they describe it. You can literally walk back through different centuries of Danish town life.
How does that work?
Well, they've meticulously recreated streets, buildings, workshops, shops from different periods, like the 1700s, 1800s, even into the 20th century.
Wow.
And the really cool part is interacting with costumed guides, people acting as residents from those times. It just makes the past feel so present.
That does sound immersive. Makes you think about how different daily life was, not even that long ago.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk castles, because Denmark seems to have some pretty impressive ones. Kronborg Castle in Helsingør. Well, that's Elsinore, right?
Right.
From Hamlet.
That's the one. Instantly recognizable connection for so many people.
It's a huge draw, I imagine.
Absolutely. And it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, too, which tells you about its historical weight. Built early 15th century, controlled the entrance to the Baltic Sea, collected tolls.
Strategic.
Very strategic. But yeah, that Shakespearean link gives it this undeniable, romantic, tragic aura. You walk through those big halls.
You can almost picture Hamlet brooding.
You really can. Then there's another major one, Frederiksborg Palace in Hillerød.
Right, that one sounds incredibly grand. Renaissance style, copper roofs, towers.
Spot on. Built by King Christian IV, early 17th century, a real statement of royal power and Danish history. And significantly, it now houses the Museum of National History.
Right.
So it's not just an empty palace, it tells the story of Denmark inside those grand walls. Connects the building to the history.
Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk nature. The coastline gets a lot of mentions, especially Jutland's. 7,000 kilometers of coastline. That's a lot.
It's immense and incredibly varied. You've got everything from like quiet little coves to massive sandy beaches, perfect for swimming or windsurfing.
Any specific spots mentioned?
Yeah, places like Skagen, right at the northern tip. Apparently the light there is incredible. It inspired a whole group of painters, the Skagen painters.
Oh, interesting.
And Greenen, near Skagen, is where the Baltic and North Seas physically meet. You can see the waves colliding.
Wow, that sounds powerful.
Definitely. Then there's Roma, an island known for its huge beaches, and Blåvand, further down the coast. And also Bornholm, that island out in the Baltic, is mentioned as a really popular summer spot, famous for cliffs and beaches.
So lots of coastal options. From natural wonders to an engineering one, the Öresund Bridge.
Ah, yes, the link to Sweden.
That's the one. Quite an achievement, isn't it?
It really is. It's this combined road and rail bridge that then ducks down into an underwater tunnel.
Right, I remember seeing pictures.
Opened in 2000, and it's totally transformed the connection between Copenhagen and Malmö in Sweden. Huge for the economy, culture, just people moving back and forth.
And the way they built it was pretty clever too, wasn't it?
Yeah, really innovative. They built these massive concrete tunnel sections on land, floated them out, and then sunk them into place on the seabed. Pretty amazing engineering.
Definitely. And speaking of amazing natural sights, Mens Klint sounds spectacular. Those huge white chalk cliffs.
Oh, breathtaking, apparently. On the island of Men, these massive cliffs up to maybe 128 meters high, dropping straight into the Baltic Sea.
Just sheer white walls.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is the geology. They were formed millions of years ago back in the Cretaceous period.
So dinosaur times.
Well, marine life from that era, the cliffs are packed with fossils. You can walk along the top, take paths down to the beach.
And maybe find a fossil.
You might. People find ancient sea urchins, parts of belemnites, remnants of this ancient sea. It's history right there in the rock.
Incredible. For a different kind of nature experience, Gargersborg Dyrehav, near Copenhagen, sounds lovely. A former royal hunting park.
That's right, set up by King Christian V back in the 17th century for hunting.
But now it's open to everyone.
Yep, now it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a huge public park. Lots of woodland, open grassland, and tons of deer just roaming around.
Sounds peaceful.
Very. Great for walks, cycling. There are even historic buildings in there, like the Eremitagen Hunting Lodge, and it's super close to the city. The written guide also mentions Mols Bjorge National Park and Rolled Forest up in Jutland as other big areas of natural beauty.
And for anyone, like me, who grew up with fairy tales, Odin sounds like a must-do. Hans Christian Andersen's hometown.
It really seems like a charming place to visit. You can see his childhood home, visit the Hans Christian Andersen Museum.
Connect with the writer behind the stories.
Exactly. Get a feel for the world that maybe shaped his imagination. They say the town itself still has a bit of a fairy tale vibe.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, finally. We can't really wrap up Denmark without talking about Hage, can we?
Absolutely not. That Danish concept everyone talks about.
It's sort of taken the world by storm.
Yeah.
But it's more than just being cozy with a blanket, right?
Oh, much more. It's a conscious effort, really. Enjoying life's simple pleasures, finding warmth, comfort, connection.
A whole attitude?
Pretty much. And you see it reflected in their approach to food, too.
Yeah.
Our sources talk a lot about fresh, seasonal ingredients, often local.
Right, like that whole new Nordic cuisine movement.
Exactly. That really put Denmark on the map, culinarily speaking. Using innovative techniques but respecting traditional flavors, local produce, even foraged ingredients sometimes.
And what about classic Danish food? Any highlights?
Definitely. Smørbrød, those open-faced sandwiches, they sound amazing with all sorts of toppings like pickled herring, roast beef,
Yeah.
frikadeller, Danish meatballs, apparently very comforting. And for dessert, Redgren medflode. It's like a red berry porridge or compote with cream.
Sounds delicious. And pastries. We have to mention Danish pastries.
Of course. A warm cinnamon roll, a kanel snegel with a good coffee. That feels pretty Hague, doesn't it?
It really does.
And we should mention the beer, too. You've got huge international names like Carlsberg, obviously. But also a really vibrant craft beer scene with breweries like Mick Keller doing innovative stuff.
Right. So wrapping this up, it feels like Denmark offers this incredibly diverse range of experiences.
It really does.
You've got the buzzing cities, full of history, but also super modern. Then these stunning natural landscapes, coastlines, forests, plus this deep cultural heritage and great food.
Yeah, and that whole feeling of hedge weaving through it, whether you're into history, nature, cutting-edge design, or just good food and a welcoming atmosphere.
It seems like Denmark has something compelling to offer.
Definitely seems that way.
This deep dive has given us a fantastic snapshot. But thinking about this blend, the old and the new, the natural and the urban, what single thing about Denmark sparks the most curiosity in you, our listener? What makes you want to explore deeper?
That's a good question to ponder.
That's your invitation to continue your own deep dive. Until next time.